You know, there are things we've heard our entire lives in movies, in church, in books, or during those late-night, in-depth-world conversations, but we rarely stop to truly think about what's behind them. One of those things is the story of the fallen angels. Most people dismiss it as just myth, folklore, the stuff of fanatics. But what if I told you that the truth is far darker, more complex, and honestly way more terrifying than you could ever imagine? What very few people realize is that behind names like Lucifer, Azazel, Samael, and Belial, there's a web of hidden stories, forgotten symbols, and spiritual battles that have shaped and are still shaping the world you live in today. This isn't just about demons throwing fireballs around. This is about spiritual corruption, vanity, deception, and an invisible war happening right now. While you're sitting there, watching this video, scrolling on your phone, or sipping your coffee, get ready, because what you're about to uncover ties together the Bible, forbidden texts like the Book of Enoch, Jewish Christian mythology, elements of Kabbalah, the philosophy of Thomas Hobbes, and believe it or not, even the literary classic Paradise Lost by John Milton. This isn't just about religion. This is a map of what's happening in the unseen world. And honestly, it explains a lot about what's broken in the visible one too. And before you think, well, this doesn't really affect me, let me hit you with an uncomfortable truth. The influence of these beings isn't just trapped in horror movies or buried in ancient texts. It's alive in the pride that destroys families, in the lies that sabotage relationships, in the hypocrisy that kills dreams, and in the chaos that creeps into your life often without you even realizing it. So stick with me till the end, because you're going to learn exactly who the four most feared fallen angels are, what they represent, how they operate, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself from this invisible yet painfully real influence. Ready to explore the dark side? Surprisingly, Lucifer's story doesn't start in darkness. It starts in light. That's right. His very name literally means light bringer or bearer of light, revealing who he once was, a being of beauty, splendor, and radiance in the heavenly realms. According to ancient texts and Jewish Christian traditions, Lucifer held one of the highest positions in heaven, associated with music, worship, and celestial harmony. He was created perfect until something happened, and Hades, where everything changes, pride. That very same force which, let's be honest, still ruins countless lives today, planted the seed of his fall. Lucifer began to crave more power, more authority, even than God himself. His rebellion wasn't born out of hatred, but out of vanity, out of the delusion that he could be equal to or even greater than his creator. And if that sounds familiar, it's not a coincidence. This pattern repeats itself everywhere in the human world. The fall of the angels begins as an internal collapse, a spiritual imbalance that shattered the divine order. And don't think for a second this was just a minor squabble. No, we're talking about a full-blown celestial rebellion that split the spiritual realms, dragging down with him a vast legion of angels who would come to be known as demons. This event echoes through the Book of Revelation and is vividly portrayed symbolically in John Milton's Paradise Lost, a masterpiece you should absolutely read if you want to understand the psychology of evil. But forget about the cliché Hollywood image of Lucifer as some red monster with horns and a pitchfork. The Bible, apocryphal texts, and even the Kabbalah, particularly in the Sephira of Gevurah, show that his methods are far more subtle. He doesn't attack with fire. He seduces with deception, with half-truths, with clever persuasion. It's that little whisper in your mind that says you deserve more. You're better. You don't need anyone telling you what to do. Sound familiar? Yeah. Now you're starting to see where that comes from. And Hades, the most dangerous part, Lucifer's greatest trick was never to show himself, but to convince the world that he doesn't exist. Meanwhile, he works in the shadows, weaving systems of thought, philosophies, cultures, and even religions that, without most people realizing, fuel the exact same forces that led to his fall: pride, vanity, spiritual corruption, and ultimately, spiritual death. And believe me, this is just the beginning, because if Lucifer represents corrupted light, the next figure takes corruption to an even more practical level. If Lucifer sparked the rebellion in the heavens, Azazel was the one who brought that corruption down to earth in a very real, dirty, and devastating way. Unlike other fallen angels, Azazel didn't just plant ideas. He physically descended and taught humans the secrets locked away in the vault of the forbidden. And I'm not just talking about spiritual secrets. No, I'm talking about warfare, sorcery, witchcraft, vanity, things that even today remain at the root of humanity's greatest evils. Azazel's name explodes into focus in the Book of Enoch, a text that most churches won't even mention. There, he's described as one of the leaders of the Watchers, the angels who descended and took human women, giving birth to the Nephilim. But it didn't stop there. Azazel taught men how to forge swords, spears, and armor, and taught women the secrets of vanity cosmetics, jewelry, enchantments. If you thought makeup and beauty culture were just modern vanity, well, hate to break it to you, but the roots run much deeper and much darker. Even in the Jewish tradition of Yom Kippur, there's the ritual of the scapegoat symbolically carrying the sins of the people into the wilderness. And guess who that goat was offered to? Exactly, Azazel. This shows how deeply his name became tied to the concept of separation from God and spiritual corruption. Now, just to be clear, this doesn't mean that all technology or beauty is evil. The problem isn't the thing itself, it's the distortion. Azazel represents the spirit that takes something neutral, knowledge, creativity, progress, and twists it, turns it into a weapon of destruction, pride, and control. His influence shows up in wars, in industries that exploit, in systems built on lies and hypocrisy, and honestly, even in how society defines success today. And if you think this was heavy, buckle up, because Azazel is just one piece on this cosmic chessboard. While he focused on external corruption, another fallen angel took aim at what destroys from the inside, at the seduction of spiritual death. And that is where Samael comes in. If Lucifer represents pride, and Azazel external corruption, Samael is the master of spiritual death and temptation. And make no mistake, this isn't just any temptation. This is the venomous whisper that creeps in exactly when you're most vulnerable. In esoteric traditions, Jewish Christian mysticism, and even Kabbalah, Samael is known as the angel of death, but also as the tempter, the one who feeds doubt, guilt, desire, and of course, sin. You know that voice in your head that says, you're never going to be good enough? That cycle of self-sabotage, of falling into the same mistakes over and over, of feeling like there's no way out? Yeah. That's Samael's fingerprint. His work is more subtle than Azazel's, but way more devastating over time. While Azazel gives tools, Samael works on the mind and the soul. He turns small internal cracks into bottomless pits. In mystical texts like the Zohar, Samael is directly associated with the serpent in Eden. That's right. According to some interpretations, it wasn't exactly Satan who took the form of the serpent. It was Samael, the one who whispered the first great temptation of humanity: if you eat this, you will be like God. See the pattern? Vanity, corruption, a cycle that repeats itself endlessly. And hey, race, where it gets terrifying, Samael's job doesn't stop at temptation. He also executes spiritual death, that state where someone is physically alive, socially functioning, smiling for the camera, but inside, completely disconnected, hollow, numb, spiritually dead. He doesn't need to destroy you from the outside in. All he needs is to seduce you into living a life that's shallow, disconnected, meaningless, and let you rot from the inside out. And if this feels heavy, brace yourself, because the game isn't over yet. If Samael works on the soul, There's another fallen angel who represents the absolute peak of moral, social, and spiritual decay. The embodiment of hypocrisy, of beautifully packaged lies, of chaos disguised as order. And that's who we're uncovering next. If there's one name that perfectly captures everything rotten, corrupt, and morally bankrupt in this world, it's Belial. In Jewish Christian tradition, he is literally referred to as worthless, of no value. And it's no accident. He embodies the essence of hypocrisy, of perfectly polished deception, of corruption that doesn't scream evil but dresses up as virtue, as success, as power. And if you think that's not all around us today, I hate to break it to you, but it's everywhere. While Samael destroys you internally, and Azazel supplies the tools for external destruction, Belial plays the long game. Social engineering. He creates systems, institutions, cultures, narratives that look noble on the surface, but are rotting on the inside. This is the spirit that makes corrupt leaders look like heroes, that lets corporations destroy lives while selling the image of purpose and sustainability. It's the lie, elevated to an art form. Even the concept of the battle between good and evil, which people often dismiss as fantasy, is deeply tied to Belial's influence. In apocalyptic texts, he appears as one of the forces that ushers in final chaos. His very name echoes through philosophy, like in Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan, where the state, a massive, powerful, often oppressive entity, is described as a monster. Coincidence? Maybe not. Belial won't crush you with fear. He crushes you with comfort, with the normalization of what's wrong, with quiet acceptance of lies. Vanity. Spiritual rot. He doesn't want you to rebel. He wants you to conform, to believe this is just how the world works, to slap on a fake smile, pretend everything's fine, while your soul slowly decays. And here's a detail few people notice: Belial's influence is so sneaky that you don't even realize you're being manipulated. It's that little voice that convinces you it's okay to tell a harmless lie, to cheat just a little, to step on someone else to survive. It's the culture of selfishness disguised as self-sufficiency. And believe me, it's everywhere. And if you thought this was the bottom of the pit, there's still one final, darker layer. If the other fallen angels represent corruption, spiritual death, and deception, Leviathan embodies something even older and deeper: primordial chaos. You know that ancient fear you can't quite explain? That creeping sense that the world could collapse at any moment? That's Leviathan's domain. In Jewish Christian mythology, Leviathan isn't just a creature. It's the physical manifestation of disorder, collapse, the total breakdown of harmony. In the Bible, it appears as a sea monster, a twisted serpent, a symbol of the abyss, of hell, of the unknown. And it doesn't stop there. In Kabbalah, Leviathan represents uncontrolled desire, the insatiable hunger for power, domination, consumption. And check this out. Even philosophy couldn't escape it. In Hobbes' Leviathan, the state is portrayed as a monstrous entity created to control the chaos of humanity. A paradox: to control chaos, we create something even more chaotic. It's not just politics. It's a mirror of the spiritual battle that's been raging since the beginning. Leviathan doesn't tempt you, doesn't seduce you, doesn't lie. Leviathan suffocates. It surrounds. It crushes. It makes you feel so small, so powerless, so lost in life's chaos, that you simply give up. You stop seeking, stop fighting, stop believing. It wants you trapped in endless anxiety, fear, insecurity, emptiness. And if you look closely, this spirit of chaos is more alive today than ever. It's in the never-ending crises, the wars, the social collapse, the environmental destruction. It's in that collective feeling that something's deeply wrong, but no one knows exactly what. And the worst part? Most people just carry on, pretending everything's fine, as if Leviathan isn't swimming just below the surface. Now answer me. Really look inside yourself. Is this invisible war, this thing that sounds so mystical, so distant, maybe even like fantasy actually? Way closer than you ever imagined? Because if you stop to think about it, the signs are everywhere. Maybe even inside you. The pride that pushes loved ones away. The vanity that keeps you chasing appearances. The lie you tell or believe. The anxiety that chokes you. The emptiness that feels endless. The question is, are you going to keep living as a puppet in this invisible game? Keep feeding these patterns, pretending it's all just coincidence? Are you finally ready to see through the veil? I'm not talking about fear or paranoia. I'm talking about awareness, about waking up, about realizing that understanding this battle isn't fanaticism, it's a matter of spiritual, emotional, and sometimes even physical survival. So if this hit home for you, if it woke something up, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, because here we're going to keep digging up the truths that were hidden from you for centuries. And trust me, what you've learned today is just the tip of the iceberg. The spiritual world is way bigger, more complex, and more real than you were ever led to believe.